I'm in the penthouse. You can see those doors right there is where my air handler sits. That's the duct for my air handler that runs through the wall and down to all the floors. Up here, this is basically plant area. Exhaust fan on the back side, supply fan. This is a makeup air, steam heated makeup air that feeds this entire plant. And then there's a few other makeup airs for specific spaces. But we moved my pressure tubing was sitting just inside the door you can't see, right under that duct, in a kind of in-between space between the plant and the office area, or the common area on the third floor here. It'd probably be better if my tubing went down to maybe the second floor or the first floor to read pressure from there. But we solved a lot of problems just by moving it out into the main hall. I'm just waiting for that pump to stop. It got noisy quick. I'm gonna go back down and look at that control and show you what I got down there. So here in the control, we can see we're doing positive 0.01, 0.02. I've stayed in a positive since I made some adjustments. We're at 20 hertz right now. So I think they had, let's see, if we go into control variables, fan control, and exhaust fan, we can see my minimum speed was at 35, and I was kind of dropping in a negative and then back to a positive. It was working its way out. So I put it at 30, and then my set point was actually 0. So we put that at 0.08, which is what 0.05 to 0.08 is typically what I see on office buildings. So since I did that, it's much more steady. What up, guys? I got a big air handler here. I've done some videos on this before. So when I got here, I was reading dashes on, this is my building pressure, that's my supplier static pressure. So the supplier static, just looking at this, I'm referencing, there's my low side, and I'm referencing in the space here. You can see the tubing goes into my supply air ducts. This is the one that was reading off. All I did was pull the tube off, put it back on, and I started reading. But I don't know how accurate I'm reading. 0.2. So this should be my reference. So I'm gonna have to trace this down. I want to see where everything's at. I've never actually dug into the static pressure on these. I've never had an issue or never had any reason to. So let's start by tracing my tubing out. We can see my one supplier static. So the two that go to my building pressure, look like they're running across that way. My flashlight's dying. So they're coming here, down the wall. It's hard to see. There they are. So they split. One goes that way, one goes that way. This is the inside. It's a plant right out there, but it goes to offices. This is my outside wall. It's the exhaust for this room, and my economizer goes out there. So that is my outside wall, and that thing was just shoved. Look Got it pulled out. That's why I was reading. So I cut the end of it off. I mean, that wall might be 12 inches thick. This is hanging out the side of the building. Y'all aren't gonna be able to see, but there is some crap down in there. And with that on the end of it, the time you shove it out the wall, it's gonna be sitting like this in the rain. So I'm gonna shove it back out, see if we can't go find out where exactly that is. I've got an idea because I know where my economizer goes out. Let's shove it back out and see what happens to my static pressure. So my supply air static is actually referencing this space and not outside. I heard a motor change, something slowed down or sped up. Still showing. Kind of dancing all over the place. 0.2. I need to verify which one of these is which. This should be high and this is low. Zero that out. See if I can get a reading on this. Maybe. Barb fitting would probably be better. So I'm showing 0 there. So I'm thinking that's referencing this space now, just like the supplier static would be. See if I can get a reading off of this thing. I'm not on here real tight, but yeah, I got nothing. I didn't notice anything when I walked in today. I was actually on a PM, just found this. I found the alarm, no complaints or anything. But I've never dug into these. I didn't feel a noticeable negative or positive pressure in the building. It's kind of hard to tell. But basically it's probably going to feed through to the offices because I've got plant all out here. And there's exhaust and supply everywhere throughout the plant. So I'm going to trace down this side and see where it goes. It's coming out there. There it is there, going through the wall here. So I need to pop my head above that ceiling and see where that thing's at. It should be in the ceiling, unless it's hiding. I don't see it. There should be some kind of, there should be a plate and an end on the thing to read the space pressure. There's obviously not, unless it runs somewhere else that I'm not seeing it. So let's trace that tubing down, find out where it goes. And if it's above the ceiling, that's going to throw me off too. So I need to be in the space. If nothing else at this point, I can just shove it through a ceiling tile. I'm watching my exhaust fan status. So I'm at 58%. I'm showing negative 0.01, so just a slight negative on the space or wherever that tubing goes. I believe my economizer is right out here. Stopped raining for 5 seconds today. And there it is. This is my economizer. That is the exhaust. You all can't see it probably, just because it's black and it's on the side of the building, but it's hanging right there. So I need to at least reference that space or pull it back. That's a terrible spot for it. I guess it's kind of protected right here in between the buildings, but I don't like that. So, I don't know, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with that. Maybe leave it hang there for now if it's clean. Let's head back up and find out where my building space is. So I'm in the main space. We can see, I can feel the air coming in. So I'm in a negative pressure. So this is all very scientific, but well, hell. I'm in a negative here too. So, this is my main space, 3rd floor. It's a slight negative, which is about what I was reading. There's my tubing right here. Right here. So that shouldn't be above the ceiling. So I'm in a negative here, and I was in a negative out in the main space too. So I would think there would be trying to maintain a slight positive. So for right now, I'm gonna stick this here, put my ceiling tile back in, and see what's changed on the other side. So there we go, ceiling tile back in. Let's go see if that changed anything. It is a ducted return, so it's not like I'm drawing air from above the ceiling, and it all should be walled off pretty well, just because of all the exhaust and everything I've got in here. There's a firewall on the outside. That's kind of what bothers me. I'm still showing a negative 0.2. Exhaust fans 35%. I'm economizing right now as well. So my exhaust command, supply command 77, outside dampers 45%, 50 degrees outside. I'm on an outside reset. This is a VAV system. I've never had any complaints with pressure or any real major issues with this thing, so it has to be reading halfway correct. 0.03, and it looks like my exhaust fan it must be the lowest it can go, 35. That's the lowest I've seen it. It's 23 hertz here for my exhaust. 77 at 50 hertz, 77% on my supply fan. So let's verify a few things. I've got a barb fitting I'm going to try to pop in here. I'm going to pull that other one out of the wall and reference inside. I really need to track those two down and see which one's which. Know which one should be there, but I don't know exactly. These could have been screwed up from day one. So I went up to 38%, and I'm at 0.007. That's more accurate than anything I'm going to read, at least with my UEI meter here. But it looks like it's trying to maintain basically a no pressure at all, negative or positive, maybe a slight positive. Yeah, that's what we're in, a very slight positive. and that would make sense. I'm not going to get any real accurate readings on the building. There's so much going on around me here in this plant, so with the exhaust and everything running everywhere, like I said, I haven't had any issues. I just saw the alarm and I thought, I'm going to dig into this a little bit. It was rainy outside and I thought it'd be a good chance to get some video that might be halfway interesting. So I'm going to measure all my tubing. We're going to verify these two and verify that the low side should be going to outside reference, and then this should be going to my space. So let's start with my supply tubing here and see how accurate the old UEI is. So I'm showing 2.5. Now this blower is at 77%, so it's going to ramp up as soon as I pull this tube. I'm showing 2.5, and we should be able to watch it, climb. Because my blower sped up. We're at 57 hertz now. So I know my UEI is pretty accurate. Let's see if it goes to 0. No. I mean, I might have a slight pressure in this space too. It's hard to say. I think we can zero these out. Look at that. I'm gonna trip an alarm if I'm not careful. There it goes. Slow them back down. So the drive and everything's acting right. It's doing what it's supposed to. I just want to make sure my building space is correct as well. Let's go ahead and take basically 0 there. I'm just curious. I got a feeling that maybe these got swapped. Basically 0 there. So I'm gonna have to physically trace those two tubes over top and verify which one goes which way. And just make sure I'm on the right port, because it seems like I'm basically just a slight positive pressure, so it seems like it's reading correctly. And since I'm kind of not doing anything, so I'm not drawing in anymore like I was. This is the scientific method of how to do this, by the way, which would correlate after I pulled the reference tube back inside. That would correlate with a normal, because my pressure was actually showing positive. When we came in before we did that, we were seeing a negative. So I know I've at least affected something. So let's verify those tubing and then kind of move on. We'll get them back on the controllers. I think we're gonna be all right. I just thought this might be halfway interesting, and then see what I can do with this thing. I don't have anything to actually connect it and make it look nice to a ceiling tile, so I might hide it over in a corner. I'll see how far it'll go just to get it out of the way. We might be able to get back here or something and just where it's not noticeable. I think that's sealed off up there. That's where my beam goes up. Actually, it's not. I can feel air coming through it. And we gotta be careful, because this is basically my office area. This is kind of the entranceway. There's an office there, and then the main walkway that we were in. But this is all plant. So this is gonna have a negative in it, and I can feel the airflow. I've got exhaust and everything else running in here, so you can see that I'm gonna have some building change, which that tubing being right here in this room is not good. I mean, you're gonna get changes every time you open a damn door. The building pressure is gonna change constantly. So maybe if I've got enough, maybe I can poke it through the wall, because this is my firewall, so you can see all the fire caulk. So we might be able to come through with maybe one of these connections, if there's, depending on what's on the other side, or maybe right through there. That's my reheat actuator, hot water reheat for my VAV boxes. So let's continue on and see what we can figure out. So this is that electrical box I saw. There's another 4x4 on the other side here. I've already got a knockout out that was just like that. So I'm gonna try to run my tubing through here, out there, and then maybe get just a small hole in the bottom to get building pressure. That's gonna be the best, easiest thing I can do at this point. Like I said, I would rather be out there because I'm not as connected to the plant side. This is more connected to my building and offices, which are all right below me. Funny how I got all this excess tubing. It looks like it might have should have been shoved through this wall already. It just didn't do it. So let's put that through. We'll shove the excess back in just so I got enough to play with on the other side. I think I'm just gonna drill me a small hole here and get it in there and secured. Shouldn't go nowhere once it's in there. And that'll be a whole lot better. So we got through. I made me a little hole. We could probably get a barbed fitting connection to go right here. They make a basically it's a 2x4 plate, kind of like this, and it's got a cover that'll go on a ceiling grid or on a wall or wherever, and there's a barbed fitting on the back of it. But for now, this is gonna work. Ain't nobody gonna be worried about that, and I'm gonna be a whole lot more accurate. I've got a main space here. This is the same way on the first floor, and then in these spaces are some offices. So I ought to be able to control my pressure a whole lot more effectively from reading out here and not so close to my plant. I have a feeling that's the way it should have been from the beginning. There's so many variables in something like this. If this were an office building, we would have probably already seen problems. They would have had problems from day one with pressure and all kinds of other stuff. So I'm gonna move on, go see what I'm reading in there and verify, as I said a while ago, which tube goes where, make sure they're in the right spots on the pressure sensors. So my exhaust fan is on 100% now. I'm showing positive 0.006. It's kind of moving. It's still finding its way, but it's different than what I had before, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to verify my tubing and we'll see how correct that is maybe. So here is actually where they come down. And I trace it. This is my building. Going to my building. So looks like they were correct on that. That might be the only thing they were correct on around here. I've been out here for a while on this PM and I've never seen that alarm, which is weird. But I've done a few PMs out here, and every time I come it seems like I find something wrong. Every time I start digging, you're gonna dig up some bodies. So I'm reading that correctly. I'm gonna get back on here. I've got a barb fitting now to see how accurate I am reading. Let's see if we can get any kind of reading at all. I'm still showing about 0. Like I said, this is going to be a whole lot more accurate. I mean, 0.002 is more accurate than I'm going to read. I won't have that many zeros on my meter. What I'm going to do is probably cut the ends off. You can see that end's just kind of bent over a little bit. And we're going to make sure everything's tight on here. And then let's see if anything changes if I pull this. Because this is the tubing that's going outside. Changed a little bit, but not a whole lot. I'm still at 100% on my exhaust. Looks like they're running at 67 hertz. I don't know why, but well, that's 0.01. Yeah, so there's not much change. So I know I'm at least I seem to be reading through this tubing. I could probably get on them and blow the tubing out as well if I needed to, but it seems like it's reading pretty good. I may just pull it from here just until I can figure something out to go outside, because this here ain't right. I need something here to be better than just shoving it out in those elements. Alright, so I got new connections, everything looks good. I'm happy with it. It's starting to slow down until it got back to a positive. So it's trying to do what it's supposed to. It's at 96 right now. So I'm happy with it. This was not all terribly technical with my paper and everything else, but I'm not gonna get an exact reading on this building just because of everything going on. There are better ways to do the tubing in the office area, but I'm working with what I got here. So I've at least now, next time if I have an issue, I know where to go to find all of my tubing and where everything's at. And this guy ought to be all right. I may, next time I shut this air handler down, I may go ahead and let these zero them out, take all my tubing off, zero them out. But for right now, the supply static is the biggest thing, and that was reading correctly as far as compared to my meter here. But this is a whole lot better now. It's maintaining that slight positive, which it should have been doing the whole time, but it was being thrown off by that tubing. I did go ahead and take, it's about to get loud in here, my outside tubing. I got it just outside that wall. Leave the trade better than you found it, guys. See y'all next time.